Okay, in this part we're going to learn how to multiply two numbers that are in scientific notation form, and we're not going to turn them into regular numbers before we multiply them. So let's start with a few different examples. If I multiply 10 times 10 to the power of 3, and I multiply it by 3 times 10 to the 4, we're not going to turn them into numbers. So I'm not going to turn 2 into 2,000, and I'm not going to turn 3 times 10 to the 4 into 30,000 and then multiply them together. The whole point to doing this is that there's got to be a shortcut or a faster way that we can keep things in scientific notation. So what we're going to do is, I'm just going to change colors here, is we're going to deal with the numbers first, and we're going to multiply them. So 2 times 3 would become 6, and then you're going to deal with the powers of 10. And since they have the same base, which is 10, you can use the rule that you learned before, was that when you multiplied something with the same base, you add the exponents. So 10 to the 3 would just become 10 to the 7, and there's your answer. Now, the other thing that you'll have to do is sometimes divide. And I'm just going to open up in here. And I'll start with something like 8 times 10 to the 4 divide by 2 times 10 to the 2. So you're going to use the same strategy here, and you're going to divide the numbers this time and go 8 divided by 2 is 4. And because you're still dealing with powers of 10 of this same base, you're going to use the other rule you learned, was that when you divide, because we're dividing, you're going to subtract the exponents. So really, 10 to the 4 is subtracting the 2, and you're left with 10 to the 2. So that's the same rule. The only thing that's different is that you're subtracting this time. Now, every once in a while, you're going to have questions that are not going to be as easy, but we'll deal with those later on. What I'd like you to do right now is try these 4 examples, pause the video, and then check to see if you did them right. Okay, and I'll give you a couple dividing ones here. 9 times 10 to the 4 divided by 3 times 10 to the 3, and 4 times 10 to the 6 divided by 4 times 10 to the 3. Okay, pause that, try those questions, and then come back and check. Okay, what you should do is what we just practiced. Multiply the numbers, so the 3 and 2 would turn into 6. The powers of 10 are going to add because you're multiplying, so you're going to end up by 10 to the 8, and that's your first one. And the second one, 6 times 1 will be 6, but write your workout. So you're going to have negative 2 plus 4, so negative 2 plus 4. Using your number line, you'll end up with positive 2, so your answer will be 2. On 3 and 4, you're going to divide, so you divide the numbers this time. 9 divided by 3 will be 3, and you subtract the exponents, so you'll be left with 10 to the power of 1. And on the second one, you would divide the 2 and get 1, and you'd be left with 10 to the power of 3, because you're going 6 minus 3. So hopefully you got those 4 right. If you didn't, pause the video and watch the beginning part again and then try these questions. Okay, the final thing is, and this will be bonus on anything that we're going to do, but I'll show it to you anyways. What can sometimes happen is if I had something like 3 times 10 to the 3, and I multiplied it by 4 times 10 to the, I don't know, 2, your answer isn't going to be in scientific notation. Here's why. You're going to multiply 3 times 4, and you get 12. Now, for the powers of 10, you would have 3 and 2, so you'd have 10 to the 5. Now, it looks like scientific notation, but remember, scientific notation is supposed to have the first part as a number between 1 and 10, and it can't be 10 or bigger. So this means that this number is too big, so I need to make it smaller. And because this is bonus, You can choose to skip this part, but if you want to get some bonus marks, just watch how to do this. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to fix it. And how you fix it is you're going to have to move the decimal by 1 so that you get 1.2. And you ask yourself, what did I end up with? I ended up with 1.2. That's a smaller number than what I started with. It means that I have to make the power bigger. So there's a little rule here. If you make one of them smaller, the other one's got to get bigger. So if you make the 12 smaller to 1.2, it means 10 to the 5 has to get bigger. And you just ask yourself, how many jumps did I do? I did 1 jump, so that means my exponent has got to get bigger by 1. So you would just get 10 to the 6. And that's all you got to do. Okay, if you're not sure about that, watch that part again, and then question, and we'll stop the video after that. So if we did something like 3 times 10 to the 4 times 5 times 10 to the 2, you would, okay, I'll pause it and then try it and then check. Okay, 3 times 5 would be 15, and you would get 10 to the power of 4 plus 2 would be 6, but you've got to fix this guy because it's bigger than, it's 10 or bigger. It can't be 10, it's going to be less than 10. So move it. It now became 1.5. That's smaller. That means the exponent part gets bigger. How many jumps did I have? I had 1 jump. That means that it now gets bigger by 1, and you have 10 to the 7.